Hello and welcome to Boomer Live. Today we are here to talk about the Southern Derby. It was contested between Royal Challengers Bangalore and the Chennai Super Kings. It was a closely contested match if you look at the scoreline because at the first innings you might have felt 173 is just above par, but then CSK fell short by 13 runs. RCB batting first scored 173 and where it was all thanks to Mahipal Lumror, Dinesh Karthik, Rajat Patidar absolutely stabilizing the ship. Though they got a very good start with Faf du Plessis and Virat Kohli in the opening stand, they fell apart after the power play. And for CSK, Devon Conway played a brilliant innings, but still CSK fell short by 13 runs. I have Sandipani to talk about this game. Sandipani, what do you reckon about this game first? Because it was a game where you might have felt like CSK was well on par to chase it down quite comfortably because whilst Devon Conway was batting, it just looked like he was batting on a different surface altogether, isn't it?
Yeah, first of all, I think it was a very crucial win for RCB. I think now they have give themselves the advantage for that number third and fourth position in the points table. I think they moved into the fourth spot right now with this win. So another loss right now would have completely shattered RCB's confidence because they have always won the first few games in the season, and as the season progresses, we see that they tend to lose a lot of games at the back end. So and also getting a victory against CSK, who have dominated them in the head-to-head battles. It's probably a very good win for them. Again, CSK, I think they are more or less they are out of it. Unless some net run rate issue occurs and CSK managed to win their last four, I think it's safe to say that it's now just the 8 teams that are contesting for the four spots right now, because the maximum that CSK can achieve is 14 points, and I think if you get 14 points, it will get down to the net run rates, and I think 16 should be the qualify criteria, because we have 4 teams qualifying out of 10. So yeah, so a very important win at this juncture, and it's again very good signs for RCB. It's their middle order, it's their youngsters that have given them the win. Mahipal Lomror coming in, we spoke about it that they needed someone to sort of stabilize the middle order, because we had just seen the lower middle order performing for them in the last 4 or 5 games before the last one, where Rajat Patidar and Kohli finally got half centuries. Before
Right.
that, I think it was their lower middle order, mainly Dinesh Karthik, Shahbaz Ahmed, and Suyas Prabhudeshai, and some contributions from Maxwell, and that one game contribution from Faf du Plessis that was saving RCB from major bruises. I think today, the middle order, they will be very happy with Rajat Patidar's performance. I think he was coming in at a bit sort of an uncomfortable position for him. He suits.
Yeah.
He likes batting up the order. He likes to come in at number 3 or probably open the innings for RCB. Coming in at number 4 was a bit of a challenge for him, a slight bit of a challenge for him, but he took it very well. And at that point, I think when they lost 3 consecutive, and not just 3 consecutive wickets, 3 huge wickets, like
Right.
the biggest 3 wickets of the RCB camp, Virat Kohli, Faf du Plessis, and Glenn Maxwell back in the hut. I think we could have seen
Like,
another collapse.
do you reckon that's where this time's RCB is so much more different? Though they might have lost 3 games on a trot, but they're not reliant on the big names this season, especially. You can say Dinesh Karthik is one of them, but he's not the stature of a Virat Kohli, an ABD Villiers in the past, or a Faf du Plessis or a Glenn Maxwell. This season, if you look, you have a Shahbaz Ahmed stepping up, you have a Mahipal Lomro stepping up. And today's innings of Mahipal Lomro is just outstanding, isn't it? The way in which he played out someone like a Pretorius, the way in which he took on Jadeja, Moonali out there, it was so important because this game would have been well off a 160, 150 for RCB, in which Chennai would have absolutely fancied the chance and chased it on quite comfortably. But the difference of 173, 174 was because of the finishing touch by Maipal Lumror and Dinesh Karthik, isn't it?
I think RCB has had their youngsters coming up for them in like bits and pieces. They contribute in one game, they don't contribute, they don't come good in another one. But this time around, I think it's the consistency for them. the youngsters, the new talents, say Shahbaz Ahmed or Mahipal Lomror or Rajat Patidar, they have consistently been performing for them, and they are coming in at high pressure situations with the top order in the hurt, with the team sort of in a bit of a trouble. They have come in and they have dug the team out of trouble. I think it's that determination, that consistency that they are showing this season around, that has been the main effect. Otherwise, we have seen RCB mainly reliant on the heavy batters like Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers over the years, and say a Chris Gayle. Even
Yeah.
if you see the youngsters, we saw Washington Sundar getting a lot of chances for RCB. Washington Sundar was promoted up the order, say at number 3, to come in and do the job for them. I think Shahbaz Ahmed has really come good for them. He has sort of been a like-to-like replacement for Washington Sundar from the last few seasons. Even though he was there in their camp, but he was not contributing in a great deal. We always knew that he's a gun fielder. He always used to field at the deep in the like death overs and take a lot of catches and save a lot of runs. But this time around, both with the bat and ball, whenever RCB has needed him, he has come good for them. And say a Dinesh Karthik, yeah, he is not probably of a stature of somebody like a Virat Kohli, but you also have to understand that he is sort of past his prime, if you actually consider, because in 2017-18, that Nidhas trophy, that season, he was actually in the prime of his career, because he was scoring runs for KKR, he was scoring runs for Team India, and then suddenly he was dropped, and in the last 2-3 years he did not do much for KKR, a game here or there, and suddenly he's coming back for RCB right from the first game. He was put up the order at number 4 in the very first game against Punjab Kings, and he played that very I might as well say a very well defined cameo of 32 of just 13-15 balls, which sort of gave RCB that boost to take them past 200. I think Dinesh Karthik has done a phenomenal job coming back and putting it up there to the selectors that, yeah, you might have as well have to consider me for another time. So it's very good to see that from RCB players.
Let's just look at the points table, which is on our screen right now after the RCB win today. Because it's that time of the year where we have to look into the points table as well. As I pulled this out from the IPL website itself, very interesting. We have GT up top leading with 16 points. We have RCB at number 4. SRH have a very good run rate, but they have a couple of games in hand as well. Punjab, who has had a great victory yesterday. Then, of course, you have other teams stepping in at different points of time as well. Sandipani, coming to you, if you look just from a points perspective, where do you see this table shaping up? Because we've seen that with IPL tables over the years that it always has a final touch to it. Because you can never predict an IPL table until it's over. The only thing which might stay constant is possibly my table, which I'm using right now. But IPL table will always keep turning, and that is something which that we have seen it over the years. And this time with 10 teams, can we expect a topsy-turvy end where top teams might just fall away and bottom teams creeping in?
You might as well see a lot of shuffle in the table right after the game tomorrow. If DC manages to win against Sunrisers tomorrow, I think they'll leapfrog over Punjab Kings and SRH. And SRH are coming off from 2 defeats. So I think it will be again a very important game for SRH tomorrow, because DC also needs it bad, because they are they have only 4 wins in the 9 games that they have played. So another win is a must for them. If they don't manage to defeat SRH tomorrow, I think they will also reach a stage where they have to win all their games to qualify. So tomorrow it's a very important game for both DC and SRH, and it might as well affect the points table in a great way. Because we know that GT, Gujarat Titans, and the Lucknow Super Giants, the 2 new franchises, they are almost safe. It's almost safe to say that they have qualified. Probably Lucknow needs to win 1 or 2 more games, but Gujarat Titans have more or less they have qualified. Another win will definitely put them put them in a very strong hold for the first 2 spots. I think with even 16 points, they can easily qualify with the net run rate that they have. Having said that, they have not lost any games. We really saw in the last game that Gujarat Titans actually suffered.
Yeah. Yeah. As you're talking about it, let's take that question as well, because tomorrow's game is so much more important. Because as we have to talk about today's game as well, I think we'll take that question right now, because as we're talking about the table, Do you reckon at this point Rishabh Pant needs to absolutely be tactically more astute? Because there were situations, especially in that game against Kolkata, you saw that where Kuldeep Yadav had an over where he could have possibly picked up 5 wickets as well, but he just held him back. Two left-handers were in the crease. He went to Lalit Yadav, and Lalit Yadav did go for plenty as well. Why do you reckon there has been a clear liking towards Lalit Yadav, especially when it comes to ball? Because when it comes to bat, of course, Lalit Yadav has done nothing wrong.
Yeah, I think Delhi Capitals with the bowling lineup that they have a choice of plenty. Mitchell Marsh is in the team and he's not even bowling. Like they don't even require Mitchell Marsh to bowl one over to save the game. I think they have gone back to Lalit Yadav a lot of times with the ball. I don't know the reason. Probably say a left-hander. If a left-hander is at the crease, they tend to incline towards a Lalit Yadav in place of Kuldeep Yadav. But I don't understand why, because Kuldeep Yadav is a Chinaman. He can also get the ball going away from the left-handers and be very effective over there. Also against KKR in that game, he picked up four wickets for just 14 runs in the 3 overs, and he was not given the fourth over. And Lalit Yadav came in to bowl his third over, and he was taken for plenty by the two batters. So
Absolutely.
it's really not clear why Rishabh Pant is going on with Lalit Yadav with the ball. But if you think of picking Lalit Yadav in the team, I think he definitely deserves a spot in the team. He has been a very important member for them with the bat as well. If you consider the game, their first game against Mumbai Indians, it was Lalit Yadav and Akshar Patel. They are lower middle order, which contributed in a great way. And also Lalit Yadav has done nothing wrong with the bat. In the game against KKR, he played that innings that sort of stabilized the ship. I think another wicket over there would have tilted the game towards KKR's favor. So I think he has been
Absolutely.
playing those important knocks with the bat. Also in the game against Rajasthan Royals, where Roman Powell was almost looking like he would finish the game with 6 sixes. Lalit Yadav played a very important knock. He scored 38 of 24. He did not get going in the second last over. He was trying to target that leg side boundary, but yeah, you have those games where you make some mistakes, I think, but he has been phenomenal for Delhi Capitals with the bat, especially because Delhi Capitals does not have, before Mitchell Marsh, they actually did not have a proper number 3 slot player. Like they tried, say Sarfaraz uh, Khan, but he did not, like he was good, but he was going at a very slow strike rate. So probably they thought that they might as well try. Mitchell Marsh was not fit, so they might see Delhi Capitals have a very explosive sort of a batting lineup. They have Robman Powell, they have Rishabh Pant, they have David Warner, Prithvi Shaw, who Mitchell Marsh, who just come into the attack and take the attack to the bowling from ball one. A player like Lalit Yadav is very important, who can change through the gears. If you want him, he can come in at the end and he can play those cameos like 15 ball, 30 run cameos. If you want, he can just come in at number 3, number 4. He's a very, I think he's a very technically stable batter. Much like a Deepak Huda, what Deepak Huda does for Lucknow, I think Lalit Yadav has done that for Delhi Capitals this season. And even they can try him in at number 3 if for some reason again Mitchell Marsh is not playing. If
Absolutely.
Enric Norke is fit and they have to make a choice between Mitchell Marsh and Mustafizur Rahman, whom to drop, I think it will be a very interesting choice. So yeah, I think Delhi
Absolutely.
Capitals have a lot of choice, but it all depends on the captaincy, because at the end of the day, it's Rishabh Pant and the management who will decide that who will get to ball that crucial over.
Absolutely. You're absolutely spot on there. Let's talk about today's match, of course. You reckon the turning point of this match was when Harshal Patel came to ball round the wicket and set that field accordingly and made Moiler to fetch the ball outside the off stump and where he was caught out. You reckon that was the turning point of this match because CSK were well in that game until then, isn't it?
I think it was a misjudgment of pace from Moeen Ali. I think the ball before that, which he absolutely clobbered it for a six over deep square leg. I think he was expecting a change of pace, a faster delivery in the second delivery. So he had already gone through with the shot, and then Harshal Patel, the guy, the clever bowler that he is, he bowled another of his slower deliveries, and the ball just stuck on him, and it was just hard luck. Also, I think with just 57 or 55 needed of the last 5 overs, I mean it's tricky. It's never easy for a batting side. But having said that, they had 6 wickets in their shed with Jadeja and Moeen Ali batting, Dhoni to come in, Pretorius to come in. I think 55, 57 of those 5 overs should have been chased down by them. And I think a lot has to be said about Harshal Patel. He has been the death bowler for RCB in a lot of, and also he had a very interesting matchup against Ravindra Jadeja. Especially
Yeah,
Jadeja has smoked him for 35, 37 runs in
37 runs.
2021 in the last game that Harshal Patel played against
That was
CSK.
an aberration because those games don't come more often. Even after
Yeah,
that particular over, he went on to pick up 32 wickets that particular season.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He had a
But
stellar
again,
season.
but the matchup against Ravindra Jadeja stands because Jadeja. This was the first time that Harshal Patel actually managed to dismiss Jadeja. Jadeja
Right.
had scored some 58, 59 of 23, 24 balls against Harshal Patel without getting dismissed. So I think again a very
It's,
yeah,
at that particular over of the six balls which he bowled. So I still think it's an aberration of a matchup. That's what I personally feel because when you
yeah.
have that given over, you barely have ball to him more often. But today's ball, he had planned him out pretty well. Where he came round the wicket again to him and he pitched the ball. Those two wickets would have been the turning point if you look at. And let's talk about Mahipal Lumra. We just spoke to him in brief because I just want to know if you were to adjudge the man of the match today, would you have just gone towards Mahipal Lumra? Because that knock of 42 was so vital today in giving them that score. I've already spoken about it, but just want to know, would he have been your man of the match?
I think if it's a very tricky choice, especially because RCB won. If CSK would have won, it would have been gone to like Moeen Ali hands down. Because he picked up those two crucial wickets and played a very good knock. But since
Yeah.
RCB won, it was very tricky because Lomrod made a very important contribution at that point, scoring 42 of 25, 26, stabilizing the innings, and then going for it in the at the death overs, especially when CSK bowlers on a roll. The spinners were coming on their own in the middle overs, and sort of to break their rhythm. It was very good to see. Also, Maxwell coming in and picking those two crucial wickets, even though he did not contribute enough with the bat, some lazy running, I might as well say. But picking up those two crucial wickets with the ball at a point where CSK were going guns and blazing. Rituraj Gaikwad and Devon Conway again came out to bat, had a brilliant over 50 runs partnership, and I think they were going to take the game away. A wicket from Shahbaz Ahmed at that critical juncture, and then dismissing two veteran players like Robin Uthappa and Ambati Raidu. Maxwell did a brilliant job. But all in all, I think 55 should have been chased in the last 5 overs. They could not do it because three of those 5 overs were bowled by Harshal Patel, and two
Absolutely.
of the other overs were bowled by Josh Hazelwood. Both have bowled brilliantly in the death overs. I think
Yeah.
that's the reason they inclined it towards Harshal Patel because he
Let's
also
look
picked
at
up three wickets.
tactics from RCB here because they knew they had that void in the fifth bowler where they had to fill in between Glenn Maxwell and also Shahbaz Ahmed. But that's the fifth bowlers where they picked up close to 3 wickets. They picked up 3 wickets between Shahbaz Ahmed and Glenn Maxwell. We reckon Faf du Plessis used them pretty well to finish them off before the 12th over itself so that Harshal Patel could come into the latter stage and ball and put even more pressure on CSK.
I think as we are heading towards the latter phase of the tournament, the pitches are being worn out a bit and bit, like the wear and tear is getting on to them. So the spinners will obviously have a greater impact on the later stages of the series because we are just using those four venues and say some 7, 8 pitches to play those games. So I think the wear and tear on the pitch will start to show, and the spinners will come really good for them as the tournament progresses. Shahbaz Ahmed and Glenn Maxwell will continue to bowl better and better to left-handers and right-handers respectively. Like Maxwell has a very good matchup against left-handers. He has often been seen. He like teams tend to use him when they have an opening left-hand batter who is going really well and struggles against spin. We see Maxwell coming at the top to bowl 1 or 2 overs in the power play. So I think as we go like further into the tournament, Maxwell and Shahbaz Ahmed will play a greater role as their fifth bowling option. And I think more and more overs from Mohammad Siraj will be taken out unless Siraj is on a very good rhythm in the first 2 overs. I don't think that he's going to complete his quota a lot. Especially at the death overs, because they have those six bowling options, and I think say a Maxwell or Shahbaz Ahmed can bowl like combine their bowling efforts. I think they can go for more than 4 overs, and they also RCB has also found a stability in their death bowling option in the form of Josh Hazelwood and um, Harshal Patel. So they don't really need to use Siraj at the later stages of the game. So Siraj can bowl 2 overs in the power play. If he's on a good day, if he's in good form, he can probably bowl three in the power play and one in the middle overs. But otherwise, I think he's more likely to be the fifth bowling option for the team.
Right. I'll come to another option, another talking point as well. Mahesh Dikshana, he was brought in and he was saved just for death bowling and also for Dinesh Karthik. You reckon he should have been used a little more earlier, considering they were three down, in 12 overs. Possibly their couple of wickets could have possibly turned the tide around completely, and RCB could have capitulated for a score around 140, 150, isn't it?
I think it's difficult to say because Mahesh Thikshana has been coming on to bowl in the middle overs in the last 2-3 games. Even though he has been very economical, like he bowled 2-3 overs in the middle overs against SRH, he was very economical, but he did not manage to pick wickets. Even in today's game, he was brought in the middle overs, 1 over from Thikshana, did not give any wickets. So I think Dhoni rightly thought out that what are his options? Say a Simarjit Singh and a Mukesh Chaudhary to be used at the death overs because there is no Bravo. Pretorius can ball from one end, and you don't think a Jadeja or a Moeen Ali can do the job in the death overs. So his only fallout option was Mahesh Thikshana. So it was either Thikshana or Mukesh Chaudhary bowling those overs, and I think Thikshana was a better pick because it's difficult to pick a mystery spinner. We have seen KKR employ it, bowling the mystery spinners like Sunil Narayan or a Varun Chakravarti in the death overs. I think there was nothing wrong with the ploy. It was a brilliant bit of captaincy because also he did not have too many options. I think playing Simarjit Singh, I don't know whether they could have gone for a Sai Kishore. I think Sai Kishore
No, Sai
in
Kishore is
same.
not part of the squad.
Okay, okay. Oh, he was a part of the squad in the last thing. I think they could have tried, say, another slow bowler in place of
They could have
Simarjit Singh.
possibly tried the leggy in Prashant Solanki, the Mumbai-based
Yeah,
leggy.
they could have tried Prashant Solanki. Yeah, definitely. But I don't think Simarjit Singh. He's bowling 2 overs up front. He's being taken for plenty. He has not looked threatening at all. And also, given the depth that CSK has in their batting lineup, he is not coming into bat before number 9, number 10. And also, we saw that in the crucial stages when boundaries were needed, he was just nudging the ball for singles. Like he was not even trying to hit those boundaries. So it's a very questionable. Now his spot in the team becomes really questionable, and also if Dwayne Bravo eventually gets fit, it will be interesting to see whom they drop.
Absolutely. Having said that, we'll come to the end of today's show and we'll talk about fantasy side of things now. Sandipani, how did your day go out in the fantasy field? Did it go pretty well? Did you have the players who performed pretty well today, with the likes of Harshal Patel, Tikshana, and also from Chennai Super Kings, you had a Devon Conway who did pretty well. You had Fab Duplessis who also did decently well, and Mahipal Lumrah.
Yeah, I had all the aforementioned players today. I think I had probably, if you consider the dream team, I probably had 9 or 10 of the 11 players. So I had a very good day. Won all the contests, and I was very happy to see. Probably this was the highest score in terms of points that I've scored in
Did
say
you, not today. I think Sandipani is a happy man today. I
yeah.
mean, I can see that from your face, of course.
That's why I'm not disappointed that RCB actually won.
Actually, I don't even think you should be disappointed either. Kolkata Knight Riders, they still have a chance maybe if they get a couple of wins here and there. Let's see. Because the
Yeah,
top teams,
it's going to be difficult.
as I mentioned, top teams can still, come down because last time I've got 2 losses in a row. Gujarat have lost a match. You never know with LSG as well because Kolkata will be playing twice against Lucknow Super Giants, if I'm not wrong. So
Yeah,
those
yeah,
two teams are going to be so crucial if you look at it from their perspective and also from the tournament's perspective. As if Lucknow loses 2 of those games, all of a sudden the table becomes even wide open and Kolkata tries to creep in there. Well, it's a game of margins, the IPL, and net
yeah.
run rate is also such a big factor. Let's hope that IPL gives us one of the best finishes as it always does. Having said that, thank you all for joining us because IPL with IPL on almost every day we'll be joining you at post match and also join us for the preview at our Twitter space because Twitter space we'll be having Joan Sandipani and also Nikhil to preview the games and also do some of the fantasy predictions so that you can make the team right before the toss has been done. And also follow our Instagram page because that's where we give some of the interesting meme updates and also some sporting updates across the globe. And we also give fantasy predictions out there. So like and subscribe our video right now so that you get notified whenever we go live as well. Having said that, thank you for joining and have a good night and happy winnings. Thank you, Sandipani.
Thanks.